What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another match preview for you guys. It is West Ham at home, 4:30 kickoff on Sunday, and it's always a tough test, always a tough game when these lot come to town. Obviously, got to get in there early. Their cup final, and look, we'll see how we go this weekend. But West Ham, the tide is starting to turn for them a little bit after a really hard start to the season. They were shocking. They're still nowhere near where they want to be in terms of the Premier League table. How many, like 1 or 2 points only above relegation, right? So on that sense, they've had a shocking season. But when you're looking at their performances recently, their results recently, it's starting to turn a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, they've still got a fairly mean defence. I mean, their problem hasn't been conceding goals. Their defence is still very tight. It's scoring goals that's been the problem. So they do sit 16th in the league at the moment. They are actually unbeaten in 3 and have only lost 1 of their last 5 games. And in their last 2 games as well, home to Chelsea, away at Newcastle as well. So not easy games. They've managed to come out away with credible 1-1 draws in each. They've definitely been playing 3 at the back as well. They've seemed to have changed. They can't seem to settle and how many players at the back they want, because it seems as though when they go to 4 at the back, maybe they're a bit better going forward, but they're a bit more open at the defensively. And then when they go 3 at the back, they're very solid. They don't concede many goals, but then again, they don't score any. I think it's indicative of their season. In 22 games, they've conceded 19 goals. That defence probably puts them in the top half. But when sorry, have I got that right? No, no, I've got that wrong.
You got it there in front of you. The form.
It's 27 goals they've conceded in 16 games and only scored 19. So in 22 games, sorry. So 19 goals in 22 games. That is where that's letting them down. The defence is still, for a team like West Ham, it's not horrendous. 27 goals conceded. It's not great, but what's let them down is 19 goals scored, and they've really struggled to create chances this season. They've relied on moments. They haven't been in games where, it seems like every game they're just keeping it tight, keeping it resolute, trying not to concede, and then taking any sort of chances when they can. And they haven't been able to use the quality of Paqueta, of Scamacca, of Bowen on a regular basis, and relying very heavily on their defence. Recently it's been working, but for a lot of the season, this is why they find themselves in a relegation battle, because they just haven't been able to use that quality, which they spent a lot of money in the summer trying to improve the quality of the squad, because they wanted after a Europa League run to the semi-final and after getting into Europe, they want to push on from that. So they're looking to upgrade, but it seems as though Moyes doesn't know what to do with the better quality.
Yeah, it felt like from the start of the season, really, that Moyes was trying to imprint a new style of play, a different way of playing for West Ham, and it kind of went against them. These flair players came in like Scamacca, Paqueta, didn't really hit the ground running. I mean, Paqueta and Scamacca, Scamacca, he scored a few goals, but really hasn't showed the reputation, why he's got the reputation he has from all those goals he scored in Italy. Paqueta had a good World Cup, but still hasn't really hit the ground running, and he's had a few good games in recent times, but he got a bad injury now, and you kind of fear for him, but they didn't really get the showing the form why West Ham showed them, and I'm not sure why that is. Is it down to the system? I kind of felt like Moyes missed the trick not keeping the same way of playing, because it was going so well for them, going far into Europe, doing well in the Premier League 2 years running, and this year it's all kind of come unstuck, albeit they are getting back to it a bit recently. But when you're looking at those 2 formations that West Ham are playing, what would you prefer to face?
100% a back 4. 100%. I'm looking at their results now throughout the whole season, the formations they've played. They've played a back 3 in 6 games this season. They've only lost 1 of them. And they've recently turned to a back 3 consistently now. So that has got to be a bit of a source of worry for us going into this game, that they're going to be the ultra solid. It's going to be a lot harder to break down than maybe they have been the majority of the season. Very similar to AC Milan, to be honest. Very similar, because AC Milan were playing a back 4 for the majority of the season. They were coming unstuck until very recently, and then they changed their formation. It became a lot more solid, a lot more harder to beat, and that proved a struggle for us to break him down. And I think West Ham could provide a very, very similar test, and that's what I'm worried about.
Well, here's an interesting stat for you, having said that, and it's all of 8 Spurs losses in the Premier League this season have been against sides playing a back 4. In the 9 games where we've played games that have a back 3/a back 5, we've won 6 of them and drawn 3 of them. So do you think that will go into West Ham's thinking at all when setting out their formations?
I guess that will. I think for their point of view, they've been getting good results in a back 3 recently. And I don't think they'll change that just because we have struggled more against teams in a back 4. But that is very telling. I think that's because teams we tend to struggle when we're being pressed quite a lot. We haven't been able to have the quality of players in our backline, and a lot of time in a few midfield as well, who have the quality to play through teams' press, and we do tend to struggle in those areas. And then obviously, if a team is in a back 4, it usually means they got a few more players in midfield to outnumber you, and then up front. So that is quite an interesting stat, to be honest. I didn't consider that, though. We've struggled a lot against teams in a back 4 compared to a back 3, and I guess maybe if West Ham are clever, they'll take that into consideration. But I think if you're on a run like they are, they probably just want to keep that good feeling going, that solidity, instead of trying to risk it to try and outdo us. I think they'll probably stick with their formation. But that is interesting, why we've struggled against teams in the back 4.
100%. And when you're looking at the head-to-head between the two sides, I mean, we got off to a very sticky start when we opened the stadium against West Ham. I think, did we lose our first 2 or 3 games against West Ham in the stadium? Because we lost the first game. They were the first team that beat us.
And then we beat them in lockdown at home.
So I'm trying to think, because I think we've definitely
lost. And then we
drew
3-3, and then we drew 3-3, and then we beat them last season.
Right, and then we've won 2 in a row at home to them.
I think just last season, 1-3-1.
So is that not right? 3-1 and 3-1.
December 2021. That might have been away. I'm trying to remember. December 2021. I don't know. March 21 is right. Might have been in a cup game. Oh, that was a cup game. It was a cup game.
It was 2-1.
It was a cup game.
It was 2-1.
Yeah.
We beat them 2-1 when Bergwijn and Mora scored.
That's right.
Yeah. So look, I think our form against West Ham, unbeaten against them in our last 3 games, but you never know what's going to happen in this kind of game. West Ham always turn it on. Sometimes we don't turn up to this game, but if we have any aspirations up the top 4, we need to start winning games like this. And with teams around us not exactly on the best form, you're looking at Newcastle, even higher up the pitch, Arsenal, to a certain extent, Man City, Manchester United just dropped points to Leeds, even though most would say they are on good form. We need to start picking up points, because there are points for us to gain, aren't there? And We've got a hard run of fixtures now when you're looking at West Ham, Chelsea, and then I think we've got a hard fixture at Wolves away as well after that, which ain't going to be easy. We need to start picking up points if we've got any aspirations for this top 4.
Of course, you can't let these kind of games pass you by. I think that considering we're really lacking consistency at the moment, we seem to be getting our act together, beating Fulham, beating Man City, beating Palace. We seem to be getting a good run together, and then that 4-1 loss to Leicester has really set us back quite a bit. That was a really damaging result, especially the manner of the result as well. How badly we were. Considering how badly we were beaten, we have to make sure we don't let that result affect us. Obviously, we did lose 1-0 to Milan in midweek, although that was more of a close game. So, you just got to take that and move on to the second leg. But when it comes back to the Premier League, we can't let. We have to get back to winning ways as soon as possible to get that feeling back, because if we drop more points, then we're going to lose confidence in this fight for the top 4. I think we're going to start to lose belief that we're actually going to be consistent enough to get it. If we get a win, get back on track, especially back at home as well. The last home game we beat City and Kane broke the record. So I think it's vitally important, especially in London derby, we get back to winning ways.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're looking at the ones to watch for West Ham, you've got Jared Bowen and Declan Rice. Obviously, Declan Rice, one of the best defensive midfielders in the league, with 1 goal, 3 assists this season and 22 starts. I mean, that's going to be an interesting battle in the middle with Pape Matar most likely coming in, and obviously Højbjerg will be back as well. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting battle, really interesting battle. Because obviously Paqueta, I think, is out, so I don't think he's going to be playing.
Probably be Rice and Souček.
So probably Rice and Souček. Souček has had a really bad season, to be honest. A lot of West Ham fans are not happy with him, but he is definitely someone who's tough, who's very physical, very good in the air, especially. But you think, if you look at our centre midfield, you'd maybe argue with Sarr in there, we're more mobile. And actually, I think I would fancy Sarr up against Souček. To be honest, it's Declan Rice who is quality on the ball, especially as well. He's really coming into his own. Even in a season where West Ham has struggled, he's been a shining light. He's still been brilliant for West Ham. And Højbjerg has had a whole week, so hopefully he'll be fresh coming into this game, and that's very important. But he does sometimes struggle, Højbjerg, when he's not next to Bentancur, I feel. He actually said, he had a quote today saying Bentancur is one of those players that makes you play better, and I feel that a lot of the time, and it's very sad that he's injured, but hopefully we'll make do without him. But, even he's admitting that, he plays better alongside Bentancur, and he's going to be having that responsibility now alongside Sarr. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out. Obviously against Arsenal, it wasn't great, but this will be a different kind of test. I reckon they can stand up to it. I reckon with Souček there, that could maybe tilt it in our favour in terms of mobility. But Rice is absolutely brilliant.
And with Bowen most likely going to be starting on the right hand side, are you worried for Perisic again this weekend?
Yes. I mean, Bowen hasn't had a great season, but he's
coming into form again.
He's definitely coming into form. Yeah, he scored a double against Everton. I think he scored last game as well. So he's definitely coming into it a bit. Obviously, he's a player with a lot of pace and very good on the counter. But I think the way we play probably is suited to keeping him quiet in a way, I feel. So I am a bit worried because Perisic hasn't been playing great recently. But I know Sufa on that side as well has had a really poor season. So I think hopefully which I'm predicting, if we can start Richarlison in this game, I would be less worried about it, because I think Richarlison can help out Perisic more than Son can, in my opinion.
And what's gone on with Bowen? Because last season, I mean, what a season he had. 12 goals in the Premier League, 10 assists in the Premier League. Look, he was a good player before the season before that, but that was his real standout breakout year for West Ham, Jared Bowen. For one reason or another, hasn't really happened this season. Only 4 goals and 1 assist this season. What's happened with Jared Bowen?
I think it's very much the problem with Bowen is the problem with West Ham. Last season, they were much more on the counter. When they hit the transition, they had a lot of space, and players like Bowen, they really thrive in that kind of space. This season, they went to a different kind of style of play, trying to be a bit more possession-based, and that doesn't suit Bowen as much. Bowen isn't the kind of player who's really good in tight spaces, taking people on and using his quality in those kind of tight areas. He needs space to run into. A bit similar to Sonny. He needs that space to play in. And if you deny him it, you go a long way to stopping him. And I think that we've seen, if you look at a lot of Bowen's goals last season, a lot of them on a counter-attack or on a breakaway where he's running in behind and running into the space and finishing. That's not how West Ham have been playing this season. West Ham have been changing it up. And maybe recently, since they've gone to a back three, that's why he's been coming back into form, because he's playing more on the counter again. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's a bit more of a threat in this game again, but I think that's why he struggled.
And Antonio, the man up front, obviously Scamacca's a doubt for this game. I doubt he is going to play. Antonio, only 2 goals this season and 2 assists.
Wow.
And when you're looking at his previous 3 seasons, hit the 10 mark in each one of those seasons. But you just know he always turns up against us. He always scores against us, doesn't he?
I think again, same with West Ham. And again, Antonio, much more suited to playing on the counter attack. I don't think he's that good with his. He's all right with his back to goal, to be fair, but I don't think when you're up against crowded defenders, he's the kind of player you want. You want him bullying defenders who are isolated. You don't want him coming up against packed defences. Yeah, he does have a good record against us, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't score again on Sunday. I think we've got the remit to keep him quiet. I really do. As long as we don't have him isolated up against Dyer, then I think Romero can handle him. I remember in Romero's first game against West Ham, I know Antonio scored, but I thought Romero really had the better of him.
That was a really good battle. I mean, Antonio did get the better of him a couple of times in that battle, but for the most part, Romero stood up to the challenge. It was such a physical battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think Romero can definitely do that again on Sunday, in my opinion, get the better of him. I think he might have learned a lot from that game as well. So, for me, he's been in really poor form. You just got to make sure he doesn't have space and that he's not isolated. For example, if we're having possession, and then we lose it, if they play one long ball into Antonio, and he's isolated up against Eric Dyer, you do kind of back him to win that battle. So you've got to make sure that doesn't happen. But in terms of physically, but I think if we can make sure we've got players around him, I think you can keep him quiet. And I think a lot of defenses have this season.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at these two sides, I mean, both sides have an extensive injury list at the moment. West Ham's, you got Zuma out, Paqueta out, Cornet out. 3 big players for them. Although I thought Cornet was going to do a lot better coming from Burnley than he has done, but injuries has kind of blighted his time at West Ham so far. Paqueta, obviously a top player from Brazil. Zuma is going to be a big miss from them at the back. And it looks as though their new signing, Agerd, is going to be out. He is a massive doubt for this game. But with them two, Zuma and Agerd being 2 of their starting centre-backs, I mean, surely that's got to play in our favour. And how impressive, me personally, think Agerd has been since joining West Ham.
I mean, he's only recently started playing because I think he was injured for a lot of the season. Yeah. He's come in since the World Cup, and he had a brilliant World Cup. And then all of a sudden he's become a stalwart. I mean, their improved defence has coincided with his inclusion in the team, and you can see why they signed him in the summer. And especially for Morocco in the World Cup, he was absolutely outstanding. And a lot of the time he was like half injured as well when he was playing. So really impressive. So it's a big blow if he doesn't make it into this game. He's a major doubt apparently. So if he doesn't make it, that's a big blow. I think if you look at that back 3 that was on screen, Johnson, Ogbono and Kelleher. I mean, Kelleher has been okay, but he's not been anything special. He's kind of been bullied a bit in some games. He's looked okay in some other games. Ogbono and Johnson are not top-level defenders, in my opinion. I think they're kind of lower. They're kind of bottom half Premier League defenders, in my opinion. They're if they were up for sale, I don't think many Premier League teams would be lining up to get them. So I think, and especially Emerson and Soufal. Soufal, I think, is a good player, but he's had a poor season. Emerson was pretty poor, I thought, at Chelsea. And I think for West Ham, he did score against Chelsea recently, but I think he'd easily be got at. I think I'd probably consider playing Porro in this game just for that. But I think that back line 100%. I think individually, yes, you're thinking that's definitely a back line that could be got at. But when you're thinking about the formation and how Moyes set up and how he's played the last few games, I still think they're going to be hard to break down.
Yeah, and they always are when we play them, to be honest. But let's have that uncomfortable Sonny conversation. It's look, surely, I mean, we've said it so many times over the past few months. And in those months, he's had a good performance against Preston. There was one in the league where he had a good performance. I can't remember, against City. But apart from those games, he's been nothing short of shocking, really. And surely it's time for either Richarlison or Danjuma to get the nod on the weekend.
I would give Richarlison a start. I mean, I understand that it's like Sonny is a special player for this team. He's a big player. He's one of the main players. I completely get it. But I think Conte's stubbornness has actually caused a problem in a way. Because if he had been rotating Richarlison throughout the season, and for Son and giving Richarlison more of a go, then if Son comes out of the team and Richarlison comes in, it's not a story. But now, because he's just continually put Son in, continually keep playing him, like even if Son was in good form, I think there's an argument that you got to rotate him sometimes. Even if he's in good form, he's scoring goals. You've got to give Richarlison a run out sometimes and use your squad. You've got to use your rotation. But now, especially that he's in bad form, you have to give him a go. You have to give him a start. If it doesn't work, you bring Son on and he can run at some tired legs going to the second and going late in the second half and use that as a strategy. But I think Richarlison needs to have a go from the start, especially because as well we've just played 2 games in a week, so there's naturally some more rotation as well could be needed. I just think that Richarlison has to be given a go in this game. I think Son was really poor in the last 2 games against Leicester and against AC Milan in midweek as well. I think it's time to give Richarlison a go, honestly. I don't think it's a big deal. It shouldn't be a big deal, but it's only a big deal because he hasn't rotated him before this whole season.
I know.
And that's frustrating.
I just think it's criminal. I think it's criminal to bring someone in for 60 million and not give them a fair crack of the whip. Like, especially when you've got players underperforming so dramatically for a long stretch of time. Like, I don't get why he hasn't had a go, to be honest. And Conte was the one calling for more attacking players to come in for rotation, for competition. And it's like they're not been given a chance to provide competition for the players. It's like he's got his front free and then no one else is going to change it unless there's injuries. And it's I think Conte is doing a lot of these players, well, not a lot of these players, but especially the players like Bissouma and Richarlison a bit of a disservice this season by not giving them more of a fair crack of the whip. A bit similar to what we saw with Bergwijn last season, really.
Yeah, but this time there's less of an excuse because we have more than one. We have a lot of games, and he's still doing the same thing, which is really frustrating. Obviously, Stellini will be in charge this weekend. He claimed against Man City he had full control over team selection and stuff like that. So I'll take him at his word and say he'll have control over team selection again this weekend. But I think you're right. I think especially people like Richarlison, who were when they have played, I don't think have been awful. Obviously, there are some games where he's played on the right-hand side, he hasn't been effective, but I don't think he's had a fair chance. I think as well with Richarlison, you could see in his body language, I think he might be starting to get a bit frustrated as well with the situation.
I don't blame him.
And he went against Man City when he was about to come on, and then we got a red card, and we decided not to bring him on. He got really frustrated. I think he threw his bottle down or something. Like, he wants to get on the pitch. He wants to play. And obviously there has been injuries that have hurt his chances as well. He got a bad injury back in November when he was set to have a real long run in the team because Kulusevski just got injured, and then so it's going to be Richarlison for a while, and then he pulled up. So he was unfortunate in that instance for that to happen, but I think that it's about time that, and I think as well, I actually think it can help us because I was just thinking about it. Like, what if you think about the top teams right now around Europe, in currently in top 5 leagues? Like, what top teams have two forward players in their front line? What top teams would like to press? By the way, like pressing structures. I can't think of 2 teams who have 2 players who are 30 plus in their front line. And I was thinking about this, and
To Liverpool.
No, I don't think so.
Well, Firmino was playing a lot this season,
but he's rotated a lot.
Salah
And but look at them this season.
Yeah,
Salah as well has been off the boil. Like, I think when you're looking at how a lot of teams play recently, every player, every player kind of puts in a shift. Like, when it comes to pressing and defensively, everyone works for each other. Now, I think when it comes to top teams, you can have, like, for example, Madrid have Benzema up front, like Argentina had Messi and stuff like that. You can have a player that other players can cover for, and even though they'll make their own contribution, they don't have to be the best pressing player to be effective in the team. But the problem is when you have more than that. For example, Man United, like Bruno isn't and when they had him and Cristiano Ronaldo together, it was a big problem. But as soon as you took Ronaldo out and you add a different player in there, they become a very different team. And I think with Spurs, I think we kind of have a difficult elephant in the room with Kane and Son in a way, because I think we all want Spurs to be pressing all the time. We want that kind of Spurs, the forward players, to be on the front foot and like relentless pressers. But I just don't like Kane and Son. used to be very good at that. But now when you're getting into your 30s, you've got to manage yourself and your body at that kind of age. And I don't know. And if you're looking at their pressing stats, they're not good at all, both of them. And when you're trying to carry two bad pressing players in your forward line, that can cause problems when you're trying to press teams. And I think if we can have Richarlison in there, who I think would add a lot more energy off the ball than Son, in my opinion, then I think it could solve a problem for now. And then obviously you got Son to come on off the bench, like he did against Leicester, and really stretch defences. So I think as good as Kane and Son are together and on the ball, there's a bit of an elephant in the room, in my opinion, when it comes to them off the ball together. And I think it's starting to hurt us a bit.
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with that, to be honest. And I was actually speaking to Brian last night, and I was saying to him that, the squad is starting to shape up in a really nice way. You can see the right-hand side starting to take place. Udogie coming in next season. You can see the left-hand side potentially starting to take place as well if we were to bring in a left centre-back. And I was saying to him, like, if we bring in two centre-backs and a goalkeeper, you're going to start to see a really strong team starting to appear. But there is still a very awkward conversation to have about Kane and Son. Not only are they the wrong side of 30, especially Kane's contract running down. They're not, maybe Kane aside, but Son's not producing for the team as maybe he was last season and the previous seasons. And as well, on top of that, the pressing issue, which you're talking about now. So I think you're completely right. I think a conversation is going to need to be had pretty soon about these two players. And I think specifically Son, with the way he's playing at the moment.
And I think the pressing issue is exacerbated by a few things as well. First of all, so their ages, and the Son's not very good at pressing, but then it becomes even more of an issue when behind him you have Perisic, who's ageing, who isn't at his freshest anymore, and then behind him you have Davis and Longley, who also aren't the most best at pressing and aren't the quickest as well. If you had, say, let's say just for example, you had a Gvardiol and an Udogie behind Son, I think it's less of an issue. But because we don't, it becomes a big issue when Son can't really keep up with the press and as much as he used to. And I don't think he should either, because I think Son is getting to an age where you want him to use that energy that he has. And look, these are human beings. They don't have energy to, especially at Son's age, to just run for 90 minutes, like consistently, like especially at that age. Like, you start to slow down a bit, and you have to start to be smart on when you use your energy. And Son is getting to that age where he needs to start using his energy in smarter ways only when he gets into the forward areas, and he can't do that if he's consistently having to chase down the fullback all the time and run all the way back to the box, and then he runs out of energy to run in the forward areas.
It's just a natural progression, isn't it? He needs to find a way of how to adapt his game, and I think that you're seeing it with a lot of players, and you see it with a lot of players. And one notable is the Mo Salah as well, who's nowhere near as good this season as he has been in previous years. And it's just a natural progression of footballers, really, and it's definitely something we need to think about. And if we're going to bring in, let's say, like a Pochettino or a high press attacking manager, we're going to need to revitalise that front line for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Unless you can do things in a way which, for example, if you can, I think there are ways to do it. There are ways around it. For example, if you have two really quick and strong players behind Sonny, you can only
afford one of them.
Huh?
You can only afford one of them in the front three.
Yeah, and I'm saying unless you have the players around that can make up for it. At the moment, we don't. So at the moment, Kane and Son together, from a pressing point of view, is really exposing us, because we are also exposed at left wing back and at centre back. But if we weren't exposed as badly in those areas, you could maybe get away with it more often. But as well, but it's not just that; it's also Son playing Son playing 2 games a week as well. On top of that, last season he was able to do. He wasn't doing as much defensive work, I felt, last season, but also he was only playing 1 game a week, so he had a lot more energy to do that. I just think there's a lot of issues that are compounding together, and we're not helping ourselves to sort out these issues. We're kind of just doing the same thing and not really identifying, and it's quite frustrating.
It is frustrating, and he banged the drum, didn't he, at the end of last season, how you need a big squad, you need 2 players in every position. Why do you need 2 players in every position if you're going to play the same players every week? Just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense to me.
he should definitely have been.
He should be managing this squad a lot better than he is, to be honest. And look, I still completely believe in Conte, believe in Conte's methods, and I want him to sign that contract more than anything else. But I think that he is doing himself and the team a bit of a disservice at the moment with this selection issue.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with time, Richarlison, give him a go. And I think he could actually do that defensive job better than Son. I actually think when he gets back in those positions, well, I feel like Son, because he's such a team player, he does do all the running, so he gets in the positions. But because of the kind of player he is, he's actually not very good when he gets there. It's a bit like Eriksen. Eriksen was a very good team player, so he would always do a lot of the running, but when he actually came to making a challenge, he was weak. He was never going to win any challenges, Eriksen, but he was good at making the runnings and getting in the positions to do it. But I feel like when Richarlison he will do the running, but he'll actually get challenges in and he'll actually get tackles. It's very rare that you actually see Son tackle anyone. You just see him in the position, but I think Richarlison's different, so I think that would help us.
Yeah, he's a lot more aggressive, Richarlison, that's for sure. But look, interesting game this weekend. West Ham always bring their A game when they come and face us in their cup final. Having said taking into account everything we've said in the preview, what's your score prediction coming into this?
I think I'm going to back Spurs to win. I know West Ham are really going to up their game. They're going to make it so difficult for us. I really believe that, and I think it's doesn't matter who they have out. I think they're going to make it so difficult to break them down. But I reckon, especially if we do start Richarlison, I think we can add a bit more energy into this team. Hopefully, if we can press West Ham smartly, like we did on occasion against Man City, I think we have more than enough quality to break him down and win the game. I want to see Porro from the start as well. I think this is a good game to bring him in, especially in front of the home crowd, get that support and get him on the front foot as well. I think this could be a good game for him.
Should be a good atmosphere as well.
Yeah, it should be a good atmosphere. So I'm going to go with 2-0 Spurs.
2-0. Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very, very tight game, and West Ham will probably have their best performance of the season, no doubt about that. I just want to see Spurs turn up, man, because that Leicester game, travelling to Leicester last weekend, was an absolute shocker. Absolute shocker. I think we improved our performance in Milan, albeit the front line are not playing well at the moment. You've got to say that. The last 2 or 3 games, they've been really poor. So I want to see a step up from Harry Kane on the weekend. I want to see a step up from Dejan Kulusevski, because I think Kulusevski's been poor. I believe in Pape Matar so massively, so I'm very happy to see him get an extended run, albeit at the expense of Bentancur, who's been our best player this season, or one of the best players this season. But West Ham, like I said, are going to come with absolute fire in their belly, and they know that their fans are going to be up for it, and their fans are going to be singing all game and getting behind their team. I want to see the Spurs fans do exactly the same thing and create a bit of a cauldron for these West Ham players. But it's going to be a very tight game, and I think it's going to be split by just the odd goal here. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to Spurs, and I think that Harry Kane is going to get that goal. But that is our score predictions. I want to know your score predictions in the comments section below. But let's get into Betmate before we take our callers. And the Betmate this week is a £600 pot for a £5 entry. And if you use our code WATTV5, you can get a free £5 to play with. The way the game works, it's just basically very similar rules to Fantasy Premier League, but you do get rewarded for defensive actions as well. So the likes of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Rodrigo Bentancur, and these kind of players, Declan Rice, could be really valuable in the game. But let's start off with my team, and let's see who I've picked. I've actually changed my team. Is that my team? It's not the team I've got here, but anyway, I must have changed my team up a little bit, so I'll actually read you the actual team I've got here. So I've got Fraser Forster in goal, seeing as I've predicted Spurs to keep a clean sheet. So Fraser Forster in goal, Romero and Davis in the back 2. I'm expecting both of them to make a lot of interceptions and tackles and get up the pitch. Højbjerg, Kulusevski in the midfield, and Harry Kane, my captain, and Antonio alongside him up front with Højbjerg, my vice-captain.
All right, and looking at my team now, again, yeah, I don't think that's right. Because, I've got Forster in goal. It's pretty much right, actually. Bring on. Except for... No, it's not right, actually. No, it's not right at all. It's Forster in goal. I've got Pedro Porro and Perisic at the back. I've gone for Porro to start, I reckon, with Spurs being more attacking. I reckon he'll start. And Perisic, obviously, we have to play him, and he's good. He takes a lot of set pieces. In midfield, I've got Pape Matar Sarr and Declan Rice. Sarr, who made 5 tackles and 2 interceptions against AC Milan. If he gets those defensive points, he could be within getting a lot of points. And up front, I've got Kane captain and Richarlison, who I'm backing to start on Saturday as well. So obviously you can change your team up to 5 minutes before kickoff. So when the lineups do come out and any of these players aren't playing, I can change it. But that's what I've gone for.
All right, so come take us on in Betmate this weekend. Like I said, £600 up for grabs this weekend. £5 entry. If you want a free £5 to play with, use our code WATTV5. And that is our match preview. Just before we get into the guests, let's get through a few super chats. Azad Hamid saying Conte is gone. We will never see him again. I'm not sure about that.
I don't know about that. That sounds quite sinister.
I know Azad Hamid, he's always in the comments saying Conte out and all these kind of things. So that's where his mind is at. Lazy8 is saying, since Stellini will be in charge, do you think we'll see earlier substitutions?
Did we against Man City?
I don't think we did against Man City, to be fair.
I remember.
We did see tactical switches in game, but we never saw early substitutions, I don't think. So remains to be seen. Are you worried at all with Stellini here for going to be there for maybe an extended amount of time now?
No, not particularly. I think look, he's very close with Conte. I think they both know what each other wants. Stellini and Conte have been working with each other for years, so obviously it'll make a bit of a difference, but I don't think there's anything to worry about too much. And obviously we did really well when Stellini was the manager for the City game and for the Marseille game. So I don't think there's too much to worry about.
And Nicholas Collins Barry says, gents, check your messages. Ticket office Barry Sim. We know the best right wing back is Emerson Royale. Play them both with Porro in place of Kulusevski. What would you say to that?
Sim, we know best. Emerson, play them both. Oh, what? Porro up? You want Porro in the front three?
That's what he's saying.
No. Because the front three play, the attacking player plays very centrally. And I don't think you want Porro there. You want him out wide.
All right, let's go on to our guests. And first up is Brian Daigle.
Oh, Brian Daigle.
Oh,
easy,
Brian Daigle. Easy, Yido.
Simeone, Simeone, ole, ole, ole. Is it a sing-off today? Good afternoon, boys, and everyone in the chat.
Good afternoon,
how we doing, Brian?
Mr. Daigle. How are you?
Yeah, all good. I'm on location. I'm looking after my 4 nephews whilst my sister goes pick up the niece. So I'm on location in the playroom today. Deep reporting in the playroom.
Very nice, very nice. And big game this weekend. West Ham coming to Tottenham, and you know it's they're going to come and play their best they've probably played all season. Their cup final, as it always is. How are you feeling coming into this one?
You know what? With this game, obviously, it's huge. Obviously, you got the trilogy of this game, the Filth and Chelsea, and their fans will be pumped up for this. We'll be pumped up as fans for this game. We just have to see how it's going. They gave us the first defeat, didn't they, at the new Tottenham Stadium?
Yeah.
Let's just hope there's not another one they master. But I think with everything going on and with Stellini, I think we're going to get the 3 points. I'm feeling fairly confident about this one.
Yeah, a few interesting matchups coming on this weekend. When you're looking at the midfield battle, it's going to be really interesting. Rice and Souček. Obviously, Rice is a brilliant player. Souček, not really played too well this season, and they have been playing Paqueta there more, but he's out with injury. When you're coming up against the likes of Pierre and Højbjerg and most likely Pape Matar Sarr, how do you think they fare against Rice and Souček?
I think we know what we're going to get with Højbjerg, so that's not exactly a major concern. We know what you get with him, and I think after seeing what Sarr did in Milan, any doubts or any thoughts of can he handle it, can he deal with it, I think he's just silenced those in every way, size, and shape and form. I think people will be a lot more relaxed when they see the midfield two. Who, if he goes for a two, whether it be Højbjerg and Skip, or like you said, and like I think it will be Højbjerg and Sarr. I think after that performance in Milan, it will calm people's nerves and rest assure a few people that the two that we have to deal with, Højbjerg, right now, are up for the job.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that one plays out. But looking at other team selections like Porro on the right hand side or Sonny on the left wing, what kind of lineup are you looking for on Sunday?
I want to see Son and Kulusevski on the bench.
Both.
I want to see both. I want to see Richarlison and Danjuma. Listen, I've been on this show quite a few times, and I certainly said against Leicester, I don't know how many times we can say to these players, don't worry, you have a terrible performance or an inadequate performance, but don't worry, you'll play the next game, don't worry. Son this season, whether people like it or not, every single time we say, oh, now he's got that goal, maybe it's time that he clicks on now, maybe this is the start, maybe this is the start, maybe this is the start. Well, we're coming into late February now. Mid to late February, and we're still saying, yeah, maybe he will. Maybe I just don't condone it. And another change I'd make, seeing that he's going to be out for Milan, I wouldn't mind seeing Dyer out as well, in all honesty, and trying to get a new defensive three and give them game time so they have minutes together. So when it comes to Milan, they're all on the same page. Because, yes, Dyer was okay against Milan, or better than he was against Leicester, which weren't hard, but I think he's just a huge liability. So there are three changes that I'd definitely make going into Sunday.
So I'm guessing that's shifting Longley into the middle and Davis on the left with Romero on the right.
Listen, I think Romero has to start on the right. He has to. I think aerially we've seen that that's probably like his Achilles heel, apart from chopping men down all the time. So I think centrally is not the position for him. So listen, I would go Longley, and at a push, you know what? I'd even try Davinson Sanchez. At least
really? Sanchez?
Mate, do you know what? The thing that's annoying me about
this
is...
Where in the back three would Sanchez play?
I'd put him in the centre.
One liability for another, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, but Simeon, it is. But do you know what it is, mate? I'd rather say, do you know what? Like we said, we have this squad now. And the whole idea of having a good squad is to be able to rotate, to be able to manage the squad.
But I like rotating the good players like Richarlison, not the players like Sanchez.
But this is the thing. But how long do you keep saying, okay, you've been dreadful? If Dyer has another bad performance, let's say he does play against West Ham, it's another terrible performance. Just using Dyer as the
Did you
example
see Sanchez
here.
When he came on against Leicester?
Yeah, mate. I've got to the point where, listen, mate. He came on when it was Leicester and he played bad, but what? The rest of the defence were great beforehand?
Yeah,
and what if West Ham start... Listen, I may be by myself here and thinking, listen, I want to see a change and I don't care who it is. I'm just fed up of players now just having a shocking performance, no matter who you are. And that goes for Kulusevski as well. And just saying, don't worry, yeah, you had a bad game, crack on. Oh, you've had another bad game, do you know what? Crack on. It's not good, in my opinion.
It's Sanchez, isn't it?
Yeah, no, mate, I completely agree. But Dyer has had a few shocking games. He's going to be suspended. So for the Milan game, what have we got? We've got West Ham, we've got Chelsea, we've got Sheffield United. Get a stable front defensive three ready for Milan. That game is of ultra importance. And like I said, I could be very much by myself on this. I could be very much alone on this. I could be getting pelted in the comments for all I know. But I've just got to the point now where you can't keep getting away with having shocking performances and just say, yeah, don't worry, we'll keep giving you another try.
But then, Brian, you're just going back to Jose Mourinho, and we all talked about Jose Mourinho, why he didn't keep a solid defence and kept one player made a mistake and then he chopped and changed, and it didn't do us any favours then.
Well, it worked. Do you know what, as well, with that, Ben, to counteract that, even with that, what you'd find is Jose Mourinho played, and I was monitoring it closely, he played 4 games with a centre-back partnership, and then one of them just went missing for 6 weeks. It didn't matter if they were the worst one. I remember he did it to Rodon, when Rodon at one point was having a very good run-in for 3 or 4 games, and then all of a sudden, bang, out you went for no reason whatsoever. Then it was Toby and Sanchez. Then it was... So he kept. It didn't matter. It wasn't just always because they had a bad game. It was every 4 games in that defence someone changed.
Yeah, I just felt that with Jose, every time a defender made a bad mistake or a bad error, they would come out the team, and then the defence wasn't settled, and it just didn't help anyone, to be honest, in my opinion. I just can't see why Davinson Sanchez coming in that middle three would just be any better than Eric Dyer. I just can't see it.
Well, we don't know. That's the thing, Ben. Listen, we know that.
We do know. We've seen Sanchez enough,
as I've said before, Simeon, as I've said before, when Sanchez comes in, he's the only player I know that starts off on form, and then the more game time he has, he gets worse.
Yeah, but
whereas other people are the other way around, and they need to get minutes. So, say again.
But in the middle, I mean, you need someone with ball-playing ability at least to play in that role.
And remember what I said at the beginning, guys, as well. I'd prefer it to be Longley, but at a push, I'd be Davinson Sanchez. I'm not saying Davinson Sanchez should start.
Yeah,
I'm saying I want to see change. I want to see performers like we were talking about. Right now, we've been talking about Son a lot, and Son has been getting a lot of heat for reasons that are justified in a lot of the case. But Kulusevski has not been right since the World Cup. But because it's Kulusevski, he has to play, he has to start, but he's been poor. And listen, Harry Kane's had games where he's been very, very poor. But the thing is, if it weren't for Harry Kane and his goals, he's undroppable. Because if it weren't for him and his goals, at least when he's been having poor games, he's contributing with goals.
Yeah.
Pedro Porro, Brian, do you put him in on the right-hand side, or do you used to continue with Emerson?
Well, I think, do you know what? And I know Nick's in the comments. Emerson hasn't been doing anything wrong recently. Defensively, I think he's definitely the best run of form that he's had since he's been here, without a doubt. And he has given a good account for himself to do it. But I think now you're going to have Romero next to him. I'm not opposed to it. Look, if I see Porro, brilliant. He's next to Romero. We'll see what this guy's got when he's got a defender he can rely on. Next to him, or should be able to rely on if he doesn't get a stupid booking or red card. And if it's Emerson, it's Emerson. Emerson, like I said, I can't come on here and say these people should be dropped because they're playing shockingly, and then say, yeah, Royale should be dropped because Porro's available, when Emerson's holding on to the shirt right now, in my opinion.
Look, he is holding on to the shirt, but I think those frailties that we constantly speak about with Emerson are still there. You know, he's still not the most impactful wing back going forward, and he still hasn't done anything in this good form going forward, has he? No,
but then you're looking the other way. All right, it was only his debut. Porro did absolutely nothing defensively, and that one ball back to Kulusevski, which was a great ball. So like I was saying to you the other day, Ben, if only we could put Emerson's defensive capabilities and Porro's attacking capabilities and mould them into the one player, we'd be sorted.
Just get on the phone to Levy. I'm sure he's got a tool to do that.
Yeah, if I get on the phone to Levy, we're talking about a tool, but it won't be to mould people together. Let's put it that
way. Another key area on the pitch, Jared Bowen against Ivan Perisic on Sunday. Does that worry you?
It frightens. I think Jared Bowen is a very, very good player. I think he's a very, very good player, and he's very dangerous. And Perisic, who at the start of the season, and I came on here regularly saying I think he's a marquee signing. I think he's going to be the one. This is going to be the signing that does incredibly well, and we've got a bargain here. Well, he's flattering to deceive, isn't he, really? Offensively and attacking wise, he can be absolutely brilliant. Defensively, he is absolutely shocking. And he's passed it in the defensive states and in the defensive side, but he's there by default right now, isn't he? Unless we even go even wilder and try and push Davies or Longley out there, which would make it even worse. That's a real area of concern. I'm more concerned about that pairing than the midfield one we spoke about at the beginning.
All right, well, having said all that, how are you looking at this game, and what is your score prediction?
I'm going 2-1 Tottenham. So I am going for it. I just hope it. We need this victory badly. With Chelsea coming up, then we've got Sheffield United, and this is we always say this is a real vital part of the season. But right now, with Brighton hot on our heels, with those two games in hand, and then FA Cup and Champions League, and obviously Chelsea coming up, these next 4 games are vital. And we just need to make sure we can get as much out of it as we can.
Yeah. Next 3 games in the league, like you say, West Ham, Chelsea, and Wolves away, who seem to be turning it around as well. How many points? How many points are we getting out of those 3?
Oh, why do this to me, Ben? Why do this? Okay. I'm going to go for win against West Ham. I think we're going to lose to Chelsea, if I'm honest. I really do. And it's not even because they're better than money. It's just that Chelsea hoodoo. That's the only thing I'm going for. It's saying we cut. And I'm going to go for either a draw or win at Wolves. And Wolves, fair play to them. And if Wolves fee is in the comments, like he always is, the great supporter he is, Lopetegui or whatever his name is doing bits there.
Yeah.
And finding a way to get this team to play as a unit. And you saw what they did to Liverpool, right? Liverpool been woeful recently, but they're getting the points. They're getting the job done. So going Wolves away is never a easy game for us. So I'm going to go for 4 or 6 points out of the next 9.
Yeah, I mean 6 points wouldn't be too bad, would it?
No. In all honesty, listen, Chelsea is just that one. If it had been any other team, I might have said we'll go for 6 or 7. But I just can't see us doing anything against Chelsea because of that mental hold they have over us.
Fair enough, Brian. Thanks for coming on today, my friend, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Yeah, Buckler.
That's on Brian.
Levy out. And as always, Levy out.
Nice one.
Big up, Brian. Let's keep going. Next up is Mikey.
Yo, guys.
How you doing, Mikey? You all right?
Yeah, fine. I'm doing all right. Just a bit tired. Been very, very busy over the past few days. Very busy.
Big game this weekend. Yeah, all good. Can't complain. Maybe I can complain about Spurs, but that's about the only thing right now. So happy days. Talk to me about the game this weekend. How are you feeling coming into it?
I have an extra sense of anticipation because it will be my first Premier League game in 4 years at the stadium. It's my first Premier League game at the stadium since the West Ham game, which was our first loss at the new stadium. So that was my last Premier League game at the stadium, and now I'm coming back to see us play West Ham again. So it's been 4 years in the making. So yeah, that's West Ham and West Ham. So I hope I can be there.
What did you say the score was that game?
It was 1-0. Antonio scored and celebrated in front of the home fans.
Oh, that game.
So you're a bad omen.
No. I've been to the stadium. I went to the stadium over the weekend to watch Man United versus Spurs women, and we lost. But I went to.
So you are a bad omen.
I've been to see a couple of the friendly games which we've won. So yeah, but I went.
As long as we can win the friendly games, Mikey will be all right.
Yeah. I hope I'm not a bad omen because I'm going to the AC Milan game as well, so I better not be a bad omen.
Let's hope not. But no, talk to me about your thoughts of the upcoming game this weekend. How much of a threat do West Ham pose to us?
It depends. I don't really know what West Ham's most potent attacking lineup's been. I know Bowen and Antonio will probably start if he's not injured, but
and Benrahma probably.
Benrahma, he's a tricky player. I'm worried, but also a little bit confident. Dare I say? I think I don't know what I have to be confident about. Maybe it's just the fact that I am going to the game that's riling me up for this. But I would love to see Tottenham bounce back and put in a decent showing against West Ham, which would be even better. But I really hope.
What kind of changes do you want to see on Sunday?
I want to see Sarr and Højbjerg because obviously we in our normal midfield pairing of Højbjerg and Bentancur usually likes to be the one to dribble with the ball and sort of pick apart. Not a hugely creative player, but Højbjerg does the more defensive work. And obviously, if you've got Højbjerg and Skip in there, you kind of have two players doing the same kind of role. So I want to have Sarr probably started, and also he had a blinder of a game against AC Milan in midweek. So I want to see Sarr and Højbjerg start. I want to see a back three of Romero, Longley, and Davis. I think that would be my choice for a back three. I think Dyer can organise that defence, and he probably will start in that central centre back role. But I want to see Longley there for just for a bit of rotation, see how he does. Because out of all of the centre backs we have, seeing as that Dyer is suspended for the AC Milan game, out of all the centre backs we have to step into Dyer's shoes, I'd be most confident if Longley. Well, not confident, but I'd be most confident if Longley did it. So I guess I'd want to see Longley start, and I'd honestly say Sessegnon over Perisic, but Sess is injured, so we have to start Perisic, and I'd keep Emerson Royale, and that front three, Kane has to start, and I'd go for Danjuma and Richarlison. If I'm completely honest, that's what I'd go for.
Is there a case for maybe a bit more defensive solidity for the wing backs to shift Emerson over maybe to the left and put Porro on the right?
I mean, it depends because obviously as a wing back, he's not playing as a wing back. You still be required to do some kind of attacking work. And Emerson's right foot is not particularly great in an attacking sense. So I'd love to see how he delivers across with his left foot. But I think Emerson on as a left wing back would be a sight to behold, if I'm honest. But I think obviously that probably won't happen when you have Ivan Perisic fit. He's going to start, so probably won't happen. But I wouldn't be totally adverse to it, especially in a game against West Ham where it's not as high risk as perhaps a game against the Chelsea or an AC Milan. But who knows? Maybe that would be the solution to our wing back woes, as I've liked to put it. But I really hope that we get more output from them, that we get more galvanization from our fullbacks.
And in terms of the Antonio Conte situation, we know he's going to be out for an extended amount of time now to go back and recover in Italy. Are you confident with Stellini at the helm for the next couple of games at least?
He has 100% win rate, doesn't he? No,
Yeah.
I want to know what I'm confused about is why was Conte allowed to come back and take charge of our Leicester and AC Milan games and now has to go back into recovery?
Because he disobeyed doctor's orders.
Oh, fair enough. And now that's kind of resulted in him having to spend longer on the sidelines.
Correct.
Which, well, the risks of football. No, obviously, I wish firstly a full recovery to him, and I hope he gets well soon. But Stellini, I mean, you saw what happened against Man City. Not, I'm saying it won't happen again. They call it a new manager bounce, so maybe this might be our new manager bounce, so to speak. But yeah, no, I'm happy with Stellini there because he knows Conte. They worked together since day dot. So I'm not as what's the word, terrified as if it would have been, say, I don't know, a different manager of ours having to rely on his assistant, because Stellini's it's not the first time he's taken charge of a game this season. It's his third game taking charge of the squad this season. So I think that's going to be just all right. I'm very optimistic because I have to be, because I'm going to be there. So maybe it's false positivity, but I'm trying my best to kind of stay positive and say, no, it's going to be all right. We are going to win this. And there is still a chance of top four.
Yeah, and if there is a chance top four, we need to start picking up consistent points now. We need to start going on a run to really catapult ourselves in there. But you talk about your confidence, so tell me your score prediction.
I mean, just before I do, I think there's a run of games that we've got in April where we play like Liverpool, Newcastle, and Man United all in the space of like 2 weeks, I think. So if we are going to get a run, preferably it would be before we have to go through those tumultuous games. So
yeah, needs to start now.
If we can pick up 2 wins on the bounce in 2 London derbies against two of our biggest rivals, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Would be nice,
wouldn't it,
Mikey? Wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't mind that at all.
Tottenham versus West Ham is always a firecracker of a game, but Tottenham versus Chelsea is heavily one-sided in favour of them. So obviously this is the preview for West Ham. So I'm going to go for They are going to score. We never keep a clean sheet, so it is going to be. I'm going to go for a 3-3. No, I'm joking. 3-1.
Last time Stellini was manager, he kept a clean sheet. Man City.
Yeah, well, that was. I guess Man City just refuse to change tactics, and they believe the way they play will eventually get them something. So maybe David Moyes has a trick up his sleeve. But I do think it'll be a 3-1 win. I do think it will be a 3-1 win with plenty for me and us to cheer about, I should say. But if we lose 2-1, you can label me the bad omen. That's a deal I'll make with you guys. You can label me the bad omen.
Fine. You've got 530 witnesses here, so there you go. But Mikey, thanks for coming on today, my friend.
Thank you, guys. See you.
See you, Mikey.
Mate. All right, you all heard that, guys. If Spurs lose this weekend, Mikey is proclaiming himself as the bad omen. So make of that what you will. Let's get on our next guest, and it's Ashmatic, people. Come on.
Yes, Ash.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's on mute again.
He's done it again.
I'm joking.
He's done it again.
I got you. Not my lesson. I hope.
You hope. I kind of like it, you coming on mute. It adds to the occasion, I feel, getting you on the channel. But how you doing, man?
Yeah, well, boys, I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Yeah, good. I mean, after 2 performances against Leicester and Milan, when, Leicester was just a shocking performance. Milan, we probably should have taken more from the game. How are you feeling coming into this one? You got confidence about you?
Well, they've been playing not the greatest either. I mean, they got a result against Chelsea.
And Newcastle, yeah.
And Newcastle. So, I mean, they're getting a turn of form. I did watch the interview. I think it was with, I forget the guy's name. He's got a podcast out. And, what's his face was on it. He was doing like an interview on it. And it was quite interesting because obviously they had a great season the season before. And then this season they've been really poor. So it was really interesting to see what his thoughts were. What's their manager's name again? I forgot his name.
Moyes.
Scottish guy. Moyes. That's
Moyes.
it. Sorry, Moyes. Yeah, Moyes. David Moyes. Yeah. So it'll be interesting because it was a similar thing with us with Conte. We had the bounce, manager bounce. They had a manager bounce. He had a bad day at the office for Manchester United. So he was talking about that, which was really interesting. But he seemed to have turned the corner with West Ham, and this season it's been going awful, relegation form, close to losing his job. He's talking about anxiety, the stress, the mental health side of things as a manager, which I found was really interesting. And then I could kind of just try to relate it to Conte, what Conte is probably going through right now with his personal issues. And sometimes as fans, we don't see what goes behind the scenes and what goes into it. And actually
Absolutely.
how much work they do with the players and without the players. They say they don't go home until like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, because they're constantly just doing tactics all day, all night long. And obviously Conte came back from his operation. And Brian, I think it was Brian that was telling me the operations it's no joke. It's like a proper big operation, and it wipes you out for days, weeks even, sorry. And it's nothing you can really bounce back from. But it just shows how dedicated Conte actually is. I'm not trying to fight his corner, by the way, but I'm just talking from what the people are saying about the kind of keyhole surgery that he's had. It is quite it's a big op. It's a big op. It's no joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think too, West Ham have played similar to us in that they don't really like the ball. Well, I wouldn't say they don't like the ball, but they tend to they press when they need to press, and they move up the pitch when they need to move up the pitch, depending on who they're playing. I think they do quick transitions. They do counter-attack football, similar to us. So I expect the last game against Chelsea, they had Antonio to start. Antonio was up front. He hasn't had the best season in terms of goals, but he's still a massive part of their game, because when they need to go long, they'll go long into Antonio, and I don't see anyone winning that aerial battle. So when you've got someone like Eric Dyer, or if it's Longley even, trying to challenge Antonio in the air, I back Antonio all day long. And I think when he gets the ball, they kind of do they literally have the runners in behind him. So they'll get the ball into Antonio will do a flick on, and then the ball will go into either a Kufal or even a what's it called? I forgot his name now.
Emerson.
No, not even Emerson. I'm saying their striker.
Bowen.
Bowen, yeah, Bowen. Yeah, because it's interesting. Their wing back Kufal, he's their highest forward, along with Bowen. Those two kind of run off Antonio. So I expect those two to be the furthest forwards when playing against Spurs. So if we line up with Perisic and let's say I don't know Ben Davies or Longley, depending who we have on the left, it's going to be those two that are going to be getting forward. They're going to be getting our faces, not so much Antonio. Antonio is the first point of contact, but like Kane, where we have runners running off Kane, they're going to have Kufal and they're going to have Jared Bowen running off his flick-ons and his passes. And they like to go direct as well. So if Rice has the ball, for example, Rice is the furthest forward of the double pivots. He does the most. He covers the most cover of grass. He covers the most amount of grass on their pitch, and he's got a really good passing range as well. So I expect him to be passing in from deep, finding the wing backs and the wing forwards when he has the ball. So that's something I'm going to be looking out for.
Ash, looking at Sunday's team selection, there are a few kind of selection headaches, I guess, for Conte. There's centre midfield, with Højbjerg back. Who do you play? There's right back, potentially. Do you bring Porro back in? And up front, is it time to give Son or Kulusevski some time off the pitch? What kind of lineup are you looking for on Sunday?
All right, I'm going to just throw a real curveball out here. A real curveball. Now, I've already mentioned how Kufal and Bowen are the furthest two forward. Now, their other central defender, let's get his name. Central defender is, what's his name? It's Kehrer. Kehrer.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, Kehrer. He basically, he's going to cover for them. When those two push up, he's gonna try and fill in for that space. But I still think that we attack down that side, and the quality at the moment when we're against Leicester, I felt Perisic was lacking in quality at times when we were on that left-hand side. He had balls he could play in, either on the floor or in the air or whip across. And I don't think he was mixing up his balls. He wasn't having enough shots on that left-hand side. I think he needs to come inside a bit more and have a few more shots, take his man on, like cut back, a bit like what Porro did for Kulusevski. We need that on the left-hand side. So I don't mind starting Perisic, but at some point I'm going to throw a curveball out, and I wouldn't mind seeing one of our wingers jump into Perisic's side, because Perisic used to be a winger, and Conte has spoken about, on the right-hand side especially, about using one of the wingers as a wing back. So I don't understand why that can't be the same for the left-hand side, especially if Perisic has been doing a lot of running and he's finding it hard to kind of, work that side. So my suggestion is you either play someone that has a left foot or both-footed on that wing back, and that could be someone like a Danjuma. Danjuma's obviously deployed as a left wing forward, but I wouldn't mind seeing him on that left wing side. So you basically, he has the physical attributes, he has the pace, he can beat players. In the last game he came on for Leicester, he actually got to the byline. He was one of the few players that got to the byline and did a cutback as well. So I noticed that in his game he has got the winger qualities. So I wouldn't mind
which player
seeing.
you're talking about?
Danjuma, putting Danjuma as a wing back.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Danjuma as a wing back, because he's got physical ability. He's got play. He's got both foot. He's both-footed. He can take a player on, and then also where Perisic comes inside quite a bit, and I've noticed that Son has been playing a lot closer to Kane. If Danjuma was our wing forward and he was coming inside a lot, he could also be that link in our midfield that we're missing in times when we need to switch our attack tactically, because we've been very lethargic when going forward when we're in the middle of the pitch, So what we tend to do is spray it into our front three, and we've already mentioned like Kane. Sometimes it doesn't stick. We've given it to Kulu. Sometimes it doesn't stick. Even Richarlison's come on, and his first touch hasn't been the greatest. So I just feel that we need someone that's in that midfield that when the defense passes it forward, we can actually play through midfield because no one's been able to hold onto the ball in the front three. We lose possession, and then that's when they have more of a chance of having a counter attack. Because West Ham, that's their game: counter attack or doing quick transitions, a bit like what we do. So I wouldn't mind having a Dan Juma. Not saying he starts, but I'm saying it's an option. I'm saying it's an option.
Would you look at Porro on Sunday?
I would look at Porro because Romero's there. We'd like to see him. I'll give him another chance. Only because Benrahma is very tricky. Benrahma is very tricky, but he's not. He doesn't push as far up as Kufal and Bowen. So he more like would start his attack a little bit deeper. So I don't mind risking a Romero there, and I don't mind risking a Porro on that side. So I wouldn't mind starting on Porro on Sunday. But
awesome.
Up front, equally, if Dan Juma wasn't going wing back, equally, I wouldn't mind having Kane and Richarlison as a 2, right? And having Dan Juma just play just behind them. But obviously, we set up as a 3, if that makes sense. So we set up as a 3. Dan Juma is on the left-hand side of the 3. And then you've got Kane and Rich. Kane as the top man, and then Rich on the right. But I don't want it to be a static front 3. I would like there to be fluidity. So, for example, when Kane and Richarlison push over into the 2, they're the 2 target men, right? I wouldn't mind seeing Dan Juma drop into the hole, and then if Dan Juma is not in the hole, he swaps with Kane, and he goes to the right, and then Richarlison goes top, if that makes sense. So they are interchangeable in the front 3. So it's not necessarily Dan Juma's always on the left. Sometimes he drops into the hole, into attacking midfielder position, and the front 3 are a bit more fluid. And then, as people were saying before, bring Son on and give him less defensive responsibility, give him more of that free role, because we have seen him pop up on the right, we have seen him pop up on the left, we have seen him pop up centrally. And that's when you see Son at his best, when he just pops up in areas and he's hard to predict, and he's running that play. He's not got his back to goal. He's not so deep, and he's not got so much defensive responsibility. He's not doing so much running, trying to help out his fellow teammates. So I wouldn't mind seeing that as a tactical change or a tactical tweak, like especially in game as well. I don't mind who starts, but I would like to see tactical tweaks as the game happens, like in-game management from Stellini and Ryan Mason, so they can just mix up things, because I think that's what a lot of fans are looking for. And I know David Moyes, he's a type of manager, he constantly tactically tweaks it. So he'll play similar to us with 3 at the back, 4 in the middle, and 3 up front. But it never stays like that during the game, if you actually look at the players' positions during the match. Also, Paqueta for West Ham, he started with Declan Rice, and normally it's the Czech Republic guy. What's his name?
Souček.
Souček. So normally it's Souček. Souček's box to box is quite leggy, quite defensive, tactically good on the ball. But they've decided to go with Paqueta.
He's more of an attacking
midfielder. Is he injured?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the last game, they started to go with him. So I just thought they were using a different tact with Paqueta in that hole. So Souček will come back in, and he'll resume. I think Rice will still be the furthest forward, and I think those two will play very close together, because that's what they've been doing when they have been paired together. So I would start with Sarr and Højbjerg. I would Sarr was getting forward in the AC Milan game, and he was the one, like Kane even mentioned it. He said Sarr was really good. He covered a lot of ground. He did a lot of interceptions, tackles. He was there. He was helping up, mop up stuff at the back, and then he also got shots off as well. So I think Kane appreciates Sar's qualities, and I think that will go around the dressing room. I think they all respect him now. So I would like to see Højbjerg a little bit deeper, and because I feel like Sar has more legs than Højbjerg. I'm not saying Højbjerg hasn't got legs and energy,
But they could be interchangeable, right, Ashmatic? Højbjerg and
yeah,
Sar?
no, definitely. That's the ideal situation. Ideally, you want to see them to interchange and sometimes start it. And but I just remember the Arsenal game was just tactically like they were all over the place. Like we really lost our shape against the Arsenal game, and both Sar and Højbjerg were veered off to the left, and then obviously Sessegnon pushed up. They had like a long pass, and that's what ultimately was our downfall when we went to Saka, because everyone was out of position and they went into Ødegaard and he scored. So I just would like a little bit more discipline in that midfield area, so that doesn't happen again with a Kufal and a what's his face? I always forget his name. Jared Bowen coming in. I don't want to see that same situation happen again. So I just want us to be switched on, especially coming back from 2 defeats, and the last Premier League defeat was 4-1. I just want us to be defensively resolute. And I think Skip had a really good game. Like he was switched on defensively. He intercepted like a few balls as well. Like defensively, he was really switched on. I know attacking wise, he wasn't as well. He wasn't doing as much as Sar, but I just thought like his discipline was really good and his energy was really good. And that's what you need in your midfield. You need energy. You need your players to be switched on. You need them to be positioning in the right place, and then you need them to help support the attack. I think that's what I want from my midfield. I want them to support the attack a lot more. So I just that's the only reason why I want one of the front three to kind of drop in sometimes and technically help in that middle phase. That middle phase where we're doing a transition, instead of it going to Kane, and their game plan is, all right, we're going to get tight on Kane. As soon as the ball comes in, we clap him. No, maybe we just give it into someone else to hold on to, and then they play it into our wing backs, or they play it into our front two, or whatever the formation is, if that makes sense. So yeah.
So Ash, having said all that, what is your score prediction?
Rats. I'm joking out. Oh man.
Do we even want to hear this score prediction, Ash?
We have to, man. Should I send a fence and say like a draw or something? 1-1.
You can't be calling a draw and being here on the watch along on Sunday, man. Come on, it's 3 points.
It's gonna be goals. It just depends. In the first 5 minutes, I don't know what the scoreline is, but obviously right now, I think the managers are gonna. I think we're gonna have more. We're gonna want to fight for Conte. We're gonna be more relaxed because he's not there barking at them in the same way. I think the players like Stellini's game management, and Mason. I feel like he looks towards the players a lot more. So I'm gonna be positive. I'm gonna go 2-1 Spurs. 2-1 Spurs, man.
2-1.
All right, come on. And is Rish gonna get on the score sheet finally?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. He's hungry for it though. He's chewing at the bit. He is hungry. It's one thing I'll give him. He's very, very, very hungry, and that can only be a good thing.
I need to get him on that pitch and prove his hunger.
Yeah, I want to see Son. I do want to see Son drop though. I'm not gonna lie. I would like to see Son drop as much as only because it's been a run of games where he's been underperforming. I know Son's ability is there. But out wide, at the start of the season, he wasn't performing. Now he's a bit closer to Kane. He's still not performing. So I just feel like his energy could be conserved. And if he brought on towards the latter stage of the game, he could be devastating coming on and causing them problems, giving him a bit more freedom as well. So that's my personal opinion. Whether it be right or wrong, it's down to the management and what they see fit. But I really want Richarlison to score. I want all of our players to do well because at the end of the day, I'm a Spurs fan. I just want to see all my players do well, and I just want us to push up the table now, man. That's what I want.
Yeah. Let's start this run now, Ash. But thanks for coming on today, my friend. And catch Ash on the watch along here on Sunday, people.
Big up. Yeah, catch me on Sunday, guys. Support, man. Love. Like, hopefully we can get us over the line. Me and Josh are down there, man, and we're gonna push the team on, man. Give them positive
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Keep sending him.
Nice one, bro.
Speak to you soon, man.
Love, yeah.
Always. Thanks, Ashmatic, for coming on. Only a couple more guests to get through.
There's been some quotes coming out from Stellini on his press conference. He said, first, there's no new injuries, which is very positive.
Hey, that's like celebrating a goal every week. No new injuries.
Talking about Conte, asking about how much authority Stellini will have, he says, I'll have the same authority as before. Since he came back, he felt that maybe he underestimated the procedure of the surgery. Then coming closer to the game, the stress of it all, it created some problems. And when he spoke to the doctor, they said he needs to take it easy. He'll be back soon, but not as quickly as he would like. He says, we have a call every day, maybe 3 times a day. And every time he says he wants to come back. He repeats every day, I want to come back, Christian. How was training? We have to organise. So he seems desperate. And he also went on to say that the surgery was not easy. It was an emergency surgery. And Antonio, who's not 100%, is not Antonio. And this creates stress.
There's actually a good point here David Harris makes in the comments. He says, Stellini said that last week, but 5 minutes later, Bassoum had a stress fracture.
True. That's a good point as well. Very good point. So we have to wait and see. And yeah, he said on the growing affection towards him from the Spurs fans, he says, it's strange for me. Not many people know the assistant. Who knows the assistant? That this is a strange thing for me. I repeat that I'm not alone, though. There are many people who work with me. Ryan Mason was important every time and will be this weekend. He is important for me and all the staff. What we are learning now is Antonio takes responsibility with great character. He asks the assistants, but he takes the decisions. Now we have to take the responsibility together. We're more like a team. When Antonio's here, he'll take the decisions and he takes the responsibility and sometimes doesn't explain why.
Oh, interesting. It doesn't explain to his staff why he's making certain decisions.
He takes a decision. Interesting.
Anyway, let's keep going with the guests. And up next is Elias, Step Up Spurs. Yes, Elias, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good. Just want to get back to winning ways, man. The last 2 Spurs games have been really hard to watch, especially that Leicester game. And on the back of that Leicester game, how are you feeling coming into this one?
That Leicester game was a disaster. I mean, I won't deny it. And after that, we did see a lot of funny stuff going on in Twitter and a lot of speculations and a lot of assumptions and stuff like that. I mean, like let's switch to back 4 and all that. And I mean, I'm not for some of that. And I think I actually shared some of my opinions on my channel actually. But really, I think going into this West Ham game, it seems to be a relatively easier fixture, the form that West Ham are in. But I think right now we have our problems because the injuries are not going to work out very well for us in terms of the kind of players that West Ham have been playing week in, week out. Although the good thing is that now they have Lucas Paqueta injured. So I think that might prove kind of like a positive one for us.
Yeah, it's a very important that Stellini gets the team selection right on Sunday. What would your lineup look like?
Okay, so I'll play. I'll stick to the back 3 as usual. I'll stick to Foster. I'll take out Emerson and put Pedro Porro in there. I'll put on Sar with Højbjerg and maybe Barisic stays same. Front 3 remains same for me. Because, okay, the reason being, I know a lot of fans have been asking this, that, okay, put Richarlison in, he deserves minutes, or put Dan Yuma in instead of Perisic. Actually, when you go into a game like West Ham, it's a London derby, and you know that the other side are going to play their best team as well, and they always turn up against you when they are playing you. You don't do selections, and you don't bench your best players. Although, yes, they are not in the best of the form, you don't bench them. When you're going into a game like this, you can call on a sub like Richarlison or Danima to make a difference later on in the game if they are not working well, but you don't bench your best players, and I won't do that.
But Elias, let me ask you this. Richarlison, every time he comes on, doesn't seem to do the business. We don't ever give him a starting role either, so we don't know really how he would be consistently starting week in, week out. Heung-min Son, for what, 95% of the games he started this season, he's been poor. The one game where he did start on the bench, he came on and scored a hat-trick. So doesn't that tell us that maybe we should be starting Richarlison and using Son off the bench?
Yeah, I mean that's true, but I think again it's an assumption. Like it happens, it happened one time that yeah he came off the bench against a very out of form Leicester. It doesn't mean that he would always come on against Leicester and then he would always score a hat trick. uh I mean, it can happen. Yes, it can happen given that yeah he comes off the bench once, and it can happen again as well. But the odds are very low. Like the probability for that is very low. And we know that Son is a class player. He is our best player among. He's one of the best forwards currently that we have. I don't rate Richarlison very lowly, or I don't think that he's a bang average player. He is average, but not that average as well. I know I'm getting a lot of boos in the chats, but I'm gonna stick to it. Because Richarlison, what has he done? We have tried him actually in different positions as well. You can't put him ahead of Kane because Kane is in his form. If he is the star striker, you can't play an average player just to actually take off some of your best players. Still, I won't do that. I don't know why, but there has been this problem with our fan base recently that we have been shitting on some of our best players, and actually we rate some of the average players really highly. Like, okay, I've been seeing a lot of these comments like we shit on Kulu, we shit on players like Son, we shit on even Kane, and then we make players like I don't think they are relatively bad players like Sar, or maybe even Sar, or maybe even Danua. They are not really that bad of players, but they are not at their quality. They are not the quality of Kulusevski or the Sun, because they have been that good for us. You don't like. Let's just look at Liverpool. They want to take Mo Salah out and play someone else in there. So why should we actually have that sort of mentality as well? These players, they just need to play consistently, and they would perform in.
Yeah, the difference
Like,
is Liverpool have had injuries in that front line, and if you take Mo Salah out, there's no one really to bring in that specific position where we brought a player in for 60 million in Richarlison, and he's not been given the fair crack of the whip. And in terms of what you're saying about Spurs fans shitting on players like Son and Kulusevski, I think it's only right for Spurs fans to call it how it is about how they're currently performing. And Kulusevski hasn't performed well the last couple of games, and Son has hardly performed well for the entirety of the season.
I mean, Kulusevski has not been performing well since he came out of that injury, so he does need time to get on with. I mean, I think we all remember last year when Kane was struggling with it, and I think these were the same fans that okay, they wanted Kane out. Some of the fans did wanted Kane out. Like, if Kane is not performing, let's sell him in the January window. But after come January, in February, he did start scoring goals. Like until February, what he had like 5 goals, 6 goals.
Yeah.
I think that's what Son has at the moment as well, and. I personally think that Son would score like more than 10 goals this season, definitely, but putting Richarlison in there is not going to help. I mean, I'm not for that particular comment. It's
Why did
like
we buy him,
training
Elias?
to I think we bought him as a backup for Kane. Like, let's say if Kane is injured, then yes, you do play him when Kane is injured, because he is a player who does play well when he's playing up front as a striker. He is not a best of the wingers. I had this conversation.
I keep hearing this. Everton, he was very good on the left. I don't understand why people don't think he can play off the left. He was good for Everton off the left-hand side.
He was good, but I think he was better up front.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I don't see the evidence for that.
Especially last season. I mean, I thought
Last season he played there because Calvert-Lewin couldn't put a ball in the net, so he played there the whole
form
season.
Of the season there.
Yeah, because they had no strikers. He had to play every game up front.
It's irrelevant that if they had no striker or not. He performed better there than he did on the left wing.
Yeah, because they didn't have a striker. So he was playing every game up front, and so he played well. But he's played very well on the left before for Everton. I actually think his best form has come off the left for me, actually.
To be honest,
in my opinion.
To be honest, I don't mind a player like Richarlison playing for Everton on the back, because if you look at, let's say, Mo Salah, he plays more as a right winger, but you can see him. Richarlison was something like Mo Salah on the left for Everton, like the kind of player who would go in, cut and score goals. But at the moment in Conte's system, the way he's playing Son, we do need Son there. We don't have somebody on that left-hand side to kind of like drop in a bit deep and play in that sort of like an attacking midfield role. And Son has been doing that lately. which I don't think Richarlison can do, and I think that's gonna cost us really if we put Richarlison in there, because he's not a very good dribbler. He's a good runner. He is good on the ball, but off the ball, I don't think Richarlison is that good.
But what is Son
Off the
offering
ball,
us at
I'll
the
say,
moment?
you say
though?
off
That's
the ball.
thing.
Sorry, what did you say? Off the ball, he's not that good.
If you look at Son, I mean, right now, Son has been doing a lot of work in the midfield as well. Whenever we are getting dominated in the midfield, he drops in there. He actually tries to win balls there at least. He has been doing a lot of defensive work at the moment. If you look at his heat maps, he's not playing at the positions that he used to play last year. Like his heat map has a lot been like an inside forward or an attacking midfielder rather than that of a winger at the moment. I mean, I know a lot of people would disagree with me on me. Oh no, he's a winger, but he has not been playing as a winger. Kulusevski has been playing as a winger. Kane has been playing as a forward, but Son has not been playing as a forward in terms of his heat maps lately.
And you don't think that maybe might suit Richarlison a bit more? I think off the ball, Richarlison is where he earns his money really sometimes.
I don't think so. He's not a good dribbler. Like he can actually hold the ball
Off the
for a
ball,
while.
sorry.
On the
Off
ball,
the ball, off the ball.
Sorry.
Off the ball.
Yeah, I'm saying off the ball. I think Richarlison's very good.
I don't think he has shown any performances lately to prove that point really. But
Just because he hasn't
been
played.
playing
He hasn't played.
playing lately. But overall, I don't agree with the fact that we should start Richarlison for a West Ham type of game. Let's say if you're playing in one of those fixtures when we are playing Bournemouth or Nottingham Forest, yes, then maybe those kind of fixtures you can give this player a chance, but not against West Ham. Like when you know West Ham always turn up against you, they can always upset you. You don't drop Son for that. I mean, Son is a Golden Boot winner. He has his class.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can see where you're coming from, but I think even in this game is where a game like Richarlison can thrive because it'll be high intensity, high energy, a physical game, and Richarlison usually steps up to the challenge with the physicality, likes to get in players' faces, likes to wind people up. I think this game could be could really suit Richarlison, to be honest.
Maybe let's say Richarlison really comes up and he does that. I mean, I will change my point of view. I mean, I'm not rigid about the fact, but I don't think that you should actually bench your best players in order to play someone like Richarlison who hasn't been that good for us. Or then you might even like someone to say, like, I mean, I get it, but seriously, even like let's say somebody would say that okay, you can drop Dyer. I can understand now that Dyer has have some real mistakes that have costed us the game. That yes, that kind of thing is understandable. But even in the past, I mean, we have had people who used to praise the Dyer highly, like moon boots, moon heads, and all those kind of things used to come out. But even then, I think he's still one of your best defenders at the moment, and you don't have even any other options that can give you that quality in that 3-4-2-1 system that these players do give you. Like it's just an extra comment, but I don't think that Richarlison is ready to play at this point of time for us.
I
in
don't know.
that
I
system.
disagree. Fair enough.
All
Fair
right,
enough.
Elias, what's your score prediction?
I think I'll go for a 1-0 win, barely. I think we are gonna have some issues in the midfield for sure because of West Ham midfield is gone. You got Declan Rice and even that. Well, who's the other guy? I think they play Soucek. Is it that
Yeah, Thomas
guy?
Soucek, yeah.
Thomas Soucek. Yeah, I think they can trouble us a little bit, but at least now you have Højbjerg there, so it won't be that bad. But 1-0 at best. Yeah.
All right, Elias, big up to you, and thanks for coming on today, my friend.
Thanks, friends.
Nice one,
mate.
Elias.
Have a good one.
Just looking at the stats for Richarlison in the Premier League, since he's been in the Premier League, as a centre forward, 78 games, 22 goals and 5 assists. And as a left winger, 75 games, 20 goals and 13 assists. So pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
In fact, probably a bit better on the left, if anything.
Interesting stats. Let's bring on KPV.
Hello.
KPV.
Hello.
Hello. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Just like
I heard
think-
you were being rude to me and Sim on the fan show. Is this true?
oh, shut up, we
Well, he's
BA.
being rude again. He's being rude again.
Oh,
Manners,
shut up,
KPV.
BA.
Manners,
Shut
mate.
up. Shut up. I can say what I want, man. Like, I don't take orders from people, so like I can say what I want. So yeah, less of that, man. Like, like before we talk about this, I want to say, I know people already saw on Twitter, but Llorente has announced his retirement. So I want to congratulate him on a brilliant career. He played an important role in our journey to the Champions League final. And I want to ask your favourite Llorente goal for Spurs.
Mine's the one against Man City in the Champions League.
My
Mine
one
has to
is
be-
against Dortmund.
Yeah, I know you two were Wembley and at the empty head. Like, but still, you need to change your video from the, and it wasn't Toby, it was Llorente, so you still need to change the title.
Shall we go back in time and and re-commentate it?
Yeah, because it wasn't Toby, mate. Because I watched it and it was actually Llorente, and so
I can't
change.
believe I thought it was Toby.
No, it was Llorente, fella. Toby thought he scored, but
can't be.
it was Llorente, mate. I watched the vlog. Llorente scored, and it was him. But yeah, I don't care. But like, we're only one goal down against Milan, and like, I'm happy with the. I said to Dermot and everyone that we saw what we done against Ajax. We lost 1-0 at home, but 2-0 down during the game, but in Amsterdam, but we still came back and won 3-2. So why not do it at home against Milan? Like, Dyer's now going to miss the second leg.
What about West Ham, KPV?
West Ham, like, we were home, but before I talk about that, I just watched the best goal Tottenham West Ham on a Premier League YouTube channel, and guess what goal comes up?
Gareth Bale.
Yeah, but the other one as well.
What other one comes up?
Stalteri.
No, the one that still hurts us.
Oh, why'd you bring that up?
What? Gareth Bale's one?
No, damn it.
Jermaine
3-0,
Defoe?
60 minutes. Lanzini, boys.
No,
Lanzini.
why are you bringing that goal up, Kyle?
It was on YouTube, boys.
All right, we've seen that goal enough times. You don't need reminding.
Calm down, boys. Seriously, man. Like, I don't care. Like, the YouTube were the ones that brought that up when I watched it earlier.
You just brought
it up,
KPV.
Kyle.
Oh, for God's sake, you two, get a grip, man. Give me a break. No, man. Give me a break, boys. Come on. Like, let's
Bring
do
up
that.
some good times. Bring up some good times.
And what's that got to do with, man? But, yeah, but, like, I want to win Sunday, so not another one like that, please. Because it's not going to happen.
Does Sonny
don't
get
wanna
dropped for
see
you?
it.
Does Sonny get dropped for you, mate?
No, like, no, I don't want him dropped, man, because he loves scoring in this game, and Kane does. Like, but I expect Højbjerg to score, and Kulu as well. Kulu.
So 4 goals we're scoring.
So, well, yeah, 4, but people need to stop disrespecting Kulu and Son and just saying bad stuff about them, because I'm Kulu's biggest fan and I'm wearing a shirt. So people need to stop.
He hasn't been very good since his injury, KPV.
So what, man? I still don't like people saying bad comments about him. Quit mentioning bad stuff about him or go support someone else. Seriously, quit saying stuff about him, man. Go support a different thing.
Is it not right for fans to have constructive criticism?
Nope. I do not want to hear bad stuff about him again. Otherwise, they will know that I do not want to hear it. Otherwise, they're getting blocked on Twitter and Instagram. So, enough criticism on Kulu and Son, because I've got the home shirt of this season with Kulu and Son. So, enough, people, or else you're getting blocked. I do not want to hear any more shit. All right.
Stop blocking people, KPV.
I'm serious, Benison. I do not like it, all right? You still happened with Bergwijn after he missed against Liverpool and he got abused and he had to disable comments. So, like, Højbjerg already deleted Twitter because of what happened. So, Kane, like, he's going to score Sunday and have you guys seen what I think you saw on Twitter about people before they sit about the game? There's going to be an ovation for Kane or something.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
saw. Like,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to the game. But the good news is those lot who thought they were going to stay top lost. So a good week. So and the good news is Chelsea lost. So watch this weekend. They're going to lose again, but they're at home to which I don't give a damn about. We're going to win Sunday, and then we'll beat Chelsea next week. So 2 London derbies, and then who we got afterwards? Wolves.
Wolves, yeah.
So Wolves away. We have a good record at Wolves as well. I'll have you know. Like so, 3 games a win. Let's start that run Sunday, man. No more losses, please. Like Stellini, we've not lost the game while Stellini was covering for Conte. So if we can make that 3 on the bounce, then that would make us happy. But people, I saw on Twitter that the last word on Spurs Twitter, it looked like Conte is going to leave and Poch is coming back. But I don't really care, to be honest. Like Sean Butler saying that Conte isn't the right man. Well, I disagree, Sean. I know.
Damn right. You tell him. You tell him, Kyle. Stick it to
The
him.
football, yeah, I'm going to call Antonio. And you probably heard when you guys were away. If you don't know, get to know.
Exactly.
KPV, always a pleasure getting you on the channel, my friend, and we shall speak to you soon.
Yeah, and I'll see you guys after the big game on Sunday, then the next one, then the next few ones. So roll on the last 2 games before we play Milan. And I'll see you guys at the game against Milan anyway, because I'll be going. So I'll see you guys again. And as always, Levy out, Brian Daigle in.
And that is KPV, people. Is that all we have time for today? Yeah, that is all we have time for today. We'll be back very soon with some more content for you guys in the studio on Sunday as Josh King and Ashmatic. Me and Sim will be inside the stadium getting all the action for you. So looking forward to that one. Let's put the hammers away this weekend. Let's get 3 points. And thank you everyone for watching today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.